Okay, welcome, Antonio.
All right. Well, I am very happy on behalf of the center to welcome Mali Ketake. She has been very active in promoting this sort of anthropological vision of the real role and the history of Africa. It's a history that is not known, that has been suppressed by those who wrote the present history established all over the world, that are the colonizing powers precisely. In a way, they were not interested to humanize Africa, because that was part of the business, to hide it. And they consider them to be natural beings. And that was a sort of like part of nature. So that was depriving them of the humane condition and their enormous contributions to culture during thousands of years. In fact, as you will discover through the presentation of Mali, is the origin of the first um, humanids in history, and from where all the species later on spread out all over the planet. But I will not advance in that part of the presentation. I can say that we see an enormous value to what Mali is doing, because it's sort of reestablishing the role in the minds, in the collective minds of our time, that Africa has placed in human history. And we should also help to disseminate these viewpoints. It's very empowering by people living in Africa at the moment, because they will be able to expand the future and the role in terms of humanity, feeling the power of the contribution that their ancestors have made. But on the other hand, because it's around these values, that are vernacular values of Africa, that we anticipate that the new society, the universal human nation that we anticipate and we are trying to contribute to form, is going to be based. And I am not taking more time. I leave you with you, Mali Kentucky.
Okay, thanks, Antonio. We are going to present first the presentation of Mali from Patricia from Bolivia. Okay.
Finished. More than thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Here we are again with a new program from the Center of Humanist Studies of the Americas. And today I have the honor to introduce you to Mali Kentucky. She's going to talk about Egypt, that she called Kemet, which is the original name of Egypt. Mali is a spiritual person that experienced many cultures around the world. Especially, she participated in the first integration of indigenous peoples held in Cusco, Peru, in which indigenous people opened the Inca Trail after 107 years. This Inca Trail is an ancient road which original people used to walk from Peru, going through Bolivia and arriving to Argentina. So after this opening, she started her walking and finished more than 7,000 kilometers. I was with her, so this is a tremendous experience in which we get conscious about our world, our connection as people from all around the world. After this walking, she wrote a book called Kapagnan, which is the name of the Inca Trail in Quechua language. And she has 6 series of this book. 2 of them are wrote in Spanish as well in English. And after that, she's still working for the returning of our consciousness as a human people that live together here in the world. And now she is presenting a YouTube channel about Egypt. She called this Bantu, the returning of Kemet. And she's going to talk about history, myths, spirituality, about many things that we need to know about Africa. So it's an honor to hear you, Mali. So we are glad to have you here. So we are all ears. Thank you, Mali.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, Antonio and Patricia, for that wonderful introduction. So let's just get into this. And let me go ahead and first, let me share the screen.
Okay. All okay.
Okay. Is everything showing okay?
Yes, Mali, okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Clear.
Please make it larger. I can't see.
What was that?
I can't read it. It's a little bit small, the words.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna be reading a little bit of it. So to begin, Hotep, and I pour libation to our creator and our ancestors. And I invoke the permission of our creator and ancestors to accompany us to our return to the waters of Num. We're going to be talking about, my presentation is going to be Bantu, returning to Kemet. And it's going to be Black African Ancestrals Cosmo Experience. When we say Bantu, we're talking about the word that means people. So we are saying that the people need to return to Kemet, or basically the wisdom of Kemet. It has been impossible for me to be able to not recognize and express my gratitude for so many people and their inexhaustible drive to bring the truth about Kemet to light. And I'm just naming a few of them today in this presentation, but there are many. And we have Dr. Kaba Kamene. He wrote the beautiful book, Spirituality Before Religion, and the Shabaka Stone. I'm going to be quoting from his book, Spirituality Before Religion, a lot during my presentation. Also, especially Dr. Chik Anta Diop, he admonished us to restore the historical consciousness of the African people. And once awakened, Africans would then create a new African reality and be an important factor in rescuing the world. And another important ally that I would like to mention here is Martin Bernal, and his book and his wonderful contribution with Black Athena. I don't know if some of you know, but his work with Black Athena was very prosecuted during that time in the 1980s, and especially the Masons, because they reluctantly did not want to accept the fact that all the knowledge and everything that they have been practicing has come from Black people. So I recommend that book. It's a series of books, and it gives a lot of information. So we're going to be seeing the origins and how this came about, some proposals, objectives, and Bantu, the return to Kemet's wisdom, understanding Kemet and the origins of humanity, and some Kemetic myth, and some educational topics that we will be presenting in the channel. Just a minute, this thing got stuck. Okay, just a minute. My presentation got stuck. Okay, deeply rooted in our psychic, our program false and manipulated stories regarding the Black original peoples from Africa and their descendants, the African continent, and its true history. These false and manipulated stories have caused a global disconnect between humanity and Black peoples, so devastating that it is difficult for them to recognize that kinship and connection. Through this YouTube channel and through this presentation, we would like to educate people and allow them to be able to practice, and so that individually and collectively we can manifest a psychic healing between Africans and Afro-descendants, as well as other races towards them, to create a vindicated, reconciling reality and evolution among all humanity. Also return the recognition, honor, dignity, respect that merit of their contributions to humanity, etc., that has been taken away and or stolen. Identify ourselves as Afro-descendants, connect with the original African spirituality, and honor our ancestors. Some of the objectives are going to be to expand consciousness in humanity, expand ancient present knowledge of Alkebulan, which is the original, one of the original names of Africa, to remind her children, both local and globally, who they are and where they come from, in order to return to their righteous place in the rich table of humanity. To manifest a healing reconciliation, practicing Ubuntu and Sankofa, principles and concepts, and thus manifest Amani. Recognize the damage caused in order to change it, especially the psychic damage. Heal the human lineage from dehumanization to human. Decolonize African original spirituality. By recognizing also, accepting, and approving those who came before us, we become one with nature. We're also going to be seeing some values, principles, and concepts. And as W.E.B. Du Bois said more than 100 years ago, and he said this quote to the United States, but I changed it. I changed the word and I added humanity. So he said, he either, and then I added humanity, will destroy ignorance, or ignorance will destroy humanity. So we would like to bring knowledge to children and free them from the chains of ignorance, that they may continue with the transformation and evolution of humanity. So as we can see here, we're using the principle of Sankofa. It's an African principle, and it's the symbol is a bird. And we have chosen this symbol for the channel because of what it stands for, and so will the channel be standing for. It says, to achieve a change, you must return to the creative or catalytic origin. Bring back what is valuable in order to create a better reality. So here we're going back and we're using the concept of Ubuntu. That's going to be our egg, because it says, we are because they were, and because they were, we are. And I am you, and you are me. So with this concept, we are going to be putting into practice at Sankofa in this new channel that we have created. So let's go back to our ancestors' beginnings and learn all we can about their wisdom, who they were, their accomplishments, etc., and bring back the best for our and humanity's spiritual ascension. So Kem, it's the word that means black or black earth, was the name that was given to what we know now it's Egypt. And when we add the word T, which is Kemet, it's black people. So that's what we are referring to. So before Kemet was Nubia. And Nubia, it's all part of a big, humongous region in Africa that we call Taseti. It's also called Ethiopia, Sudan, or South Egypt. Nubia was the first known city on earth to evolve through the stages of civilization. This is more or less a map of what I was just mentioning. And here we have the beginning, as we're going to see in a moment. And I also want to bring out the Dogon people. The Dogon people, original people, these people, when all the colonizations and everything was going on all over, not only just in Kemet, but all over Africa with the invasions and colonizations of other civilizations, they went into the mountains and they stay there, and they are a people that have not taken any other religion, neither Islam, Christianity, no other religion. So they have stayed true to their true original spirituality. In order for us to be able to understand a little bit about Kemet, I'm just going to mention a few words in the language so that you can see how the Greeks, when they colonized Kemet, they changed the names, and that's what the names that we have today. So as we know, Kemet, it's Egypt. Netur, they changed it to nature or gods. Happy was the Nile River that they named Nile River. Netzabiti, it's the pharaoh. Nomes, our city. Tekenu are the obelisks. Mur are the pyramids. And Mennefer, it's the city of Memphis. So that we can have an idea of how they changed even the names of what our ancestors created. So understanding this great adventure into the Kemetic culture, we must understand, and we're going to bring out two concepts, which is evolution and involution. The evolution is the perfection of the body and mind, and the involution is the perfection of spiritual ascension. And it was important to perfect the body first and then become conscious of the spirit or that dwells within us. And for this, we're going to start with the physical evolution. According to all the findings we've learned that humanity is born in Africa. The development of the human family in Africa took place over many millions of years. The basic model of humanity clearly follows the African model. The abundance of archaeological records reports that no skeletal remains older than 500,000 years can be found outside of Africa, but multiple records of humanoid remains in Africa date back more than 4 million years. The oldest bone found was the Java, or so-called Java man. It's a 500-year-old human skeleton called Homo erectus. However, human footprints have been found in Africa, preserved in volcanic and ash soil, dating to 9 to 12 million years. The central theory of human life history is that all species living and extinct are related by descent to a specific set of common ancestors. In an interrelated branching pattern of descent, the relationships between any pair of species can be of two types. One species is the ancestor of the other, and B, both descend at some point from a common ancestor. Human history unfolds in a pattern of call and respond. Nature sends signals to living species through its continuous changes in species if they want to survive. They initiate and adapted changes at both the micro and macro levels, mediated by the ancients of heredity, the genes. About 4 to 2.5 million years ago, 3 changes occurred. The second was when our lineage separated into 2 species. The latter was transmuted into a third, the Homo habilis, with a denser brain, more advanced than the first 2. So the 6th, which is the Homo Sapien Sapiens, the brain expanded and housed the frontal lobe that would allow him to transcend nature and activate his pineal gland, which is the creative intelligence that allowed them to develop civilizations, including arts, sciences, and everything that implies mathematics, spirituality, astronomy, language, philosophy, etc. So here we have some of the samples or the proof that have been found. Here we have the footprints that are dating from 9 to 12 million years. They're called the Laetoli footprints, and they were found near Tanzania. Here we have Ardi, the skeleton is called Ardi, and it's 4.2 million, and it's 1 million older than the female Lucy that we're gonna see now. And it was found near the Awash River in Ethiopia. And here is Lucy, the first woman, which dates 3.2 million years ago. And she was found in Hadar, Ethiopia. And here, I'm just throwing this in for more information, is the first burial recorded to this date, found in South Africa's Rising Star cave system. It's between 236,000 to 35,000 years old, and it's older than the ones found in Israel. So by then, these humans were already using ceremonials for their dead or those that have passed. So now we're going to see the migration of human Africans. It's going to take us to the Pangea Epoch. And here we have the Grimaldi, which was the first man that arrived in Europe, and he was found in Italy. And here we have the Druvians in India and Asia. As you can see, the original people really were of a darker skin, or meaning black, in India. What happened was that the Iranian that colonized back in the days, India or all that area, they even enslaved the black Indians, or yes, Indians. To this day, they are more or less, and they developed the caste where we have the lighter skinned people are supposed to be on the top and the darker skinned people are supposed to be on the bottom. So that kind of like what we see all over the world. But it is good to know that originally they were black and they came from Africa as well. Here we have the Negritos of the Philippines. And as you can see, kind of like the same culture they share. Also, we have the Australoid that migrated to southern, what we call today Australia, over 25,000 years BCE. And it was found that the first indigenous people in the Americas had genes from the Australian genes. And if we see here also the culture, we can see similar culture in the indigenous of the Americas. We can see them also in Africa. Now, another topic that has been very worldly disputed has been the Olmecs. The Olmecs, in Mexico, they claim that they had no part in Africa or African origin. But as some say, because of the findings of the Mendes scripts, they could be very related to the Mandinka people. As you can see, these are the Mandinka people in Africa. And they are very close, but we'll leave it up to you to make your own decision as to how you're going to view that. And as we can see, from the beginning, everybody, as we see, originated in Africa. Also, I'm sharing here the DNA confirmation from the Chinese descendants. A group of scientists from China, Russia, India, and Brazil they took about 20,000 DNA samples from 160 ethnic groups across all of East Asia. And according to Professor Jing Li, we didn't see a single individual that could be considered a descendant of Homo erectus in China. Rather, they were all descendants of our ancestors in Africa. Here we see some faces of Africa. As you can see, there's a genome that it's called activism, and it's sleeping. And it happened to this European family in South Africa that gave birth to Sandra Lane, and she was Black. And there was a whole commotion because they said that that was impossible. But today, we can see that it is possible. And she was, according to her DNA, she was their daughter. And because of the racism and everything, she went through a lot. Her story is in a film and in a book called Skin. So if you want to check it out. Also, you can see here an African family with a white or light-skinned baby. And also we can see here Africans with blue eyes. To them, this is something that is very abnormal, and to them it's not their custom. So they believe that the original eye color is Black. So they say that there must be something going on there, that it's blue eyes are happening, and we're going to see that in a bit as well. Also, we're going to see the helices in nature, as well as the helices in the hair of African people. So now we're going to be looking at the concept of spiritual evolution, which is the spiritual ascension. And it is inspired the human Ka to recognize itself by remembering its original source, the Nun. The ancient Kush Kemet did not teach spirituality, but how to spirituality. The human body went through a divine evolutionary process. And so once that happened, then it was time to know self and acknowledge and proclaim that I am the creator having a human experience. The first humans in Africa saw a pattern in earthly and cosmic nature, as above, so below. So nature taught them everything as they observed in nature, and that's how they learn. And recognizing of rhythms, vibrations, patterns, and frequencies enhance higher order of thinking skills in African consciousness. And this rose the concepts of cycles in nature, early forms of mathematics and science, the direct and indirect link between the early development of the calendar, the rhythms of the stars, the human body, and the environment, including the rhythms of rivers over millions of years. In order for us to be able to understand a little bit about the information about Kemet, Dr. Asa G. Hiller prepares 11 what he called keys that will help us understand their culture. He says that the culture was pre-dynastic. It remained intact until 7th century AD. The orientation is up south. The origin of people and culture is from up south, and they always try to and recognize the unity of the South. All the significant leaders are from the South. All culture, creativity, and autochthonous invasions is autochthonous. Sorry, invasions and are destructive. The Greco-Romans were invaders or imitators. They were symbolic and metaphorical thinking. Science generated spirituality. They were monists instead of dualists. And it's important to recognize the golden ages compared to the periods. And here we can see, we can have a quick look at this. As you see here, back here, this is the Nubian Kush era or time or place where they came from. And we're talking about 6,000 years ago. And so 3000 BC, they came into that area, which was, by the way, full of water, and they had to take the water out, etc. And so here we see the era of the pyramids, which they continue, and that they brought all that information from Nubia. We also have the literary age. I'm just going over some of the important things that happened during that time. And then the building of more temples and the revival, because as you can see here, they were invaded. And then after that, we have the Persians, Greeks, Romans, and Arabs invasions. There were 10 virtues in the Kemetic, and the first 3 are the most important. They represent words in a variety of manifestation. So thought is a silent word. The word is expressed verbally, and deed demonstrates words in action. And spirituality is thought. Union is the word, and ritual is the deed. So some of the myths that we're going to be seeing in Kemetic, we're going to be, we have the Memphite papyrus, which was the Memphite theology. We have the coming forth, which is the Book of the Dead. We have the Mer Mur, which was, the pyramids were actually energy centers, and the pyramid text. And here, to be able to understand more about those beliefs, we can compare them to the Lefafa Sedek, which is in Sudan, and they're the bandages of rightfulness, which were the mummy's text. And in Kemetic, spirituality is unseen science, and science is unseen spirituality. So now we're going to be seeing before creation and the creation. Before the beginning, spirit was at rest in the waters of Noon, In science, the spirit was potential energy, energy at rest. In the first moment of the beginning of the cosmic universe, potential energy was converted, activated into kinetic energy, energy in motion. And this conversion of energy activated the spirit within matter. The being began and the process of becoming began. Both spirit, energy, and matter always existed. The human spirit activated in the same way that the cosmic spirit activated at the same time. So it all began with the thought, desire, and word. So the creator decided that to create creations in his image so that he could live to achieve his desire to know self. So here we have over here what we call the cosmetic calendar, and it's represented or seen here in the Shabaka Stone. We can study this scientific theory in the ancient African theory called the Memphite theology, which we saw previously, that they were written in the papyrus of Memphite. And the Netzabiti Shabaka had them rewritten in stone, which is this stone, so that it could be preserved. And the Shabaka Stone is housed in the British Museum. The cosmic calendar in the African Memphite theology was a metaphorical story that explained the scientific laws of creation and evolution of the cosmic universe. It follows Dr. Carl Sagan's 12-month cosmic year. And it began with a single cosmic atom and the Big Bang. So here we have, after the Big Bang, it exploded and billions of superclusters were created. The superclusters created billions of clusters. The clusters birthed billions of galaxies. The galaxies spew out trillions of stars and star systems. And the star system birthed the planets. And one of those stars is our sun, and our planet Earth was birthed. And the planet produced organic life. Humans live on planet Earth. Planet Earth lives in our solar system. Our solar system exists in the Milky Way. The Milky Way lives in the Virgo cluster. The Virgo cluster lives in the Laniakea supercluster. The Laniakea supercluster is one of the billion superclusters in the universe. And as we remember, the Africans, Kush or Kemets, they call the universe Noon. This is more or less how the 12-month calendar was. And as you can see, 1 month was 1 billion years, and each day is 33,333,333 and 1/3 million years. We will see also more processes in detail in our workshops and educational videos in our channel. We're going to be also seeing the physical evolution, which is very important now in this presentation, history and human life, the 7 anatomical changes, the melanin, and the importance of that, vitamin D, and the evolution of the human brain. And that this continues until today. We will also see the embryogenesis and ectodermal layer. All this gave rise not only to the perception of cycles in nature, but for the first forms to codify mathematics, science, and the perception of distant rhythms in the solar system. The direct link between the early development of the calendar, the rhythm of the stars, the rhythm of within the human body, the rhythm of the environment, particularly the rhythm of the rivers that increase the resonance and vibration. So the stars of our galaxy began to create elements such as carbohydrate, oxygen, silicon, and iron. And then as gravity pulled gas and dust together, that's when we had the big explosion or the Big Bang, and what we call the sun that was born, or Atum, which is also the creative utterance of the creator. So the importance here of the eumelanin is the sunlight, the sound, and the heat that we absorb through our skin. So this, they already knew all this science, and they value the importance of that. And that's why we have what we call their gods, that we will see in a little bit. And it is important to know that the science of Kemet, Makeru, which is the true word, referred to vibration. So that is very important, the vibration, and that's why we have the vocal cords, because we create with our voices. And so they understood the importance of the melanin and vitamin D. And that's why in humans, they were the first entity to be worshipped. In this case was the sun. But it wasn't really because they worshiped, they understood the importance of the sun rays. Akhenaten, the famous pharaoh, to him, he named it Aten. He changed the name from Atum to Aten. And to him, Aten was a symbol of supreme intelligence, possessing great power, knowledge, and ever-present spiritual energy. And back then, they were called also, kings were called, or pharaohs were called son of the sun, and also the people. So they worship the life-giving energies. It's very important to take that into consideration. So here we have some of the characteristics of the Netur. The Netur, they could change its meaning or symbol when acted upon by different situations. They alter its meaning. It could change its forms and actions, but the symbol would always remain. In this case, we're going to see one of the natures or gods back then, as we were talking, was Atum. So Atum was also represented in many other ways, as the primal serpent, as the phoenix bird, as Kepera, which is the process of becoming, as Ra, which is the sun rays, as Falcon, and Heru, and as we also mentioned, Aten. Besides the solar nectar, there were earthly and cosmic nectaru, which is plural. Earthly nectaru were represented by stones, trees, animals, symbolic objects, the jet, columns, statues, human beings, etc. The cosmics were represented by the sky, stars, and earth, which is also Gebet. The most important aspect of Netoru was the balancing effect that they had on polarity. They are both male and female aspects of nature. And they teach us that opposites can be balanced. And gender manifests in everything and all, and they are forever present. Some of the Netoru back in those days we see here, and also Ma'at, which is Ma, and then later with the Greeks, it was changed a bit to Ma'at, This Netoru embodies the harmony and balance in mathematics. The Greeks doubled the word mathematic, and that's where the word mathematics came from. And it also represents the feather light, which we remember, my heart is light as a feather. That's something that they also created, and that concept. And the 42 affirmations of Ban. Here we have also some Tekenu. They were also Netoru, they were considered Netoru. And so we see them today all over the world. We mostly understand, some of us understand their significance. This one is housed in Kingdom in UK. It was taken from Africa. And as you can see, this one was also taken from Africa, but it was returned. They understood also, the colonizers understood their importance. And so we can see them today. They're used a lot by the Masons. As we said, we can see that the colonizers were basically imitators, and basically the Greeks and the Romans, they imitated the Kemet knowledge and wisdom as we see today. And as you can see, I bring it back because you can see here, this is the Pope on the Catholic Church. And as you can see, it really, you can tell that it represents the sun. Although they try to hide it and they try to replace it, whatever, it really does represent the sun. And as you can see in the dollar sign here, you have a pyramid, and you also have the eye of Horus and the eye of Ra. So these are not new things. These are not their creations. And here, very specifically, you can see that they created their Virgin. The first Madonna was black until it was lightened, her skin was lightened, and that's the one that we have today and that we see today. And also justice, it came from Kemet, and especially laws of Ma'at. But of course, they changed it, and they put some things that were not the original ones. And that's how you deviate some of these true knowledge. Also, you can see in the architecture, they also imitated Nubia. Here we have Nubia, which was, as we recall, older than Kemet. And we also have here in Sudan, in Naka, you can see this building. We can see the Temple of Lexor, and very similar to what we have in Greece, what we have in Rome, and what we have today in many prominent cities. So we're also going to be seeing some of the past in early past. As you can see this map, back in 1655, the Atlantic Ocean was called the Ethiopian Ocean. Only in the 19th century, they changed the name. That's how important they were considered, because all civilizations derived from Kemet. So we're also going to be looking at, in the channel, we're going to also be looking at how we can see that the first Buddha was Black. Yoga originated in Kemet, in Africa. The first two Black dynasties in Asia were Black. We're going to be looking, as I mentioned, spirituality before religions. This is Nubia. As you can see, before Kemet, they had all this. Even as you can see, it's very clearly that they also had that balance of Ma'at. And their writings, they also had writings, etc. Math over here. So all that we're going to be seeing, as well as all the colonizations, Arabs, Greek, Romans, and Persians, etc. We're also going to be seeing the present, what has been happening with us in the present. We're going to be talking about the Moors, who they were, what they did in Europe, etc. We're going to be talking about the importance of Haiti. It's a country that till this day has not been forgiven by the Europeans, that they were the second country in the Americas that were liberated. First was the United States, and they still to this day have punished them. They were punished for 60 years. They were put a ban. They could not import, they could not export, etc. So they made sure that they went under, because they also helped with the decolonization of South America. They were the ones that provided the monetary means, the arms to be able to help them liberate themselves down in South America. So we're going to be seeing these three women. These three women are the three women that put men on the moon. It wasn't the white men. It was these three Black women that put men on the moon. And all these secrets have been kept until recently, because we have taken into our own hands our story, to bring out our story and no longer hide it, but more than to expose everything and tell the correct, true story. We're going to be talking about leaders, how they were killed, assassinated, in order to be able to continue with the oppression in Africa. And we're going to be talking about the HeLa cells, about this African American woman, that the only human that they saw, that she was not, even though she had died, her cells continued to live. And so till this day, they kept her cells, and their family, they didn't give any money, nothing. And while all the scientists and the pharmaceutical were making billions and billions of dollars. And finally, they won their case, and they had to settle with billions of dollars, because they also kept that away from her family, and the importance that it was coming from this African woman. All the shots, like for genes and for the word doesn't come to my mind now, but the viruses and everything that they are discovering now in that science is because of her cells, what they call the HeLa cells. We're also going to be seeing more than 300 years of inventions of Black people inventing, which have been kept off from the public. Until recently, I started studying all these things, was when I realized that the creator of the calendar for planting was a Black man. They don't even tell you or show you his real picture. We're also going to be talking about the genocide. Yes, the genocide of the melanin people. Even though it sounds a little bit harsh, but it's the reality. But we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about children and their geniuses, that it's not only, like they say, that all the intelligence derived from Black people, Asian people, meaning from India and from China, because we have always been kept on the lower step of the stairway. But as we can see, it has been done purposely. We're also going to be seeing some of the things that they say about the Ethiopians and Ethiopia. Ethiopian, as we know, is the name that the Greek called once they colonized. So they were called the blameless, favor of the gods, because they do no wrong. greatly respected, moral rectitude, sense of justice, honesty, and integrity. And I go right along with this because they were the one that created it. So if you create something, who better than you to put it into practice? Helodorus, a high priest of Isis, claims that during a visit to the Ethiopian kingdom, he said that he was in his Egyptian knowledge was more enriched with the Ethiopian wisdom when he visited them. They were also back in those days sought for their gold, great abundance in trees and wildlife, huge elephants, ebony. And they also said, Herodotus also said, men are taller, handsomer, and longer lived. As you know, there were some tests done back in the 19th century with that desire to make the white species taller. And so a lot of tests were done. And because if you go back in the days, white men or European men were smaller, or those, they were smaller. They also said that they didn't need doors in their homes because they do not steal the possessions of others. Nowhere else in the world was this seen, and such honesty and lack of crime throughout history. An Ethiopian king was a model of a king, righteous and magnanimity, not condemn the people to death. They advised the military troops not to mock the enemy, but to let him live with them when they have been defeated. A noble thing is to outdo an enemy in battle when he is on his knee and on his feet, but in generosity when he is down. So Herodotus also was the first that confirmed that in virtue of their black skin and woolly hair, like Ethiopia. So there's no doubt that they were black. The color of their skin were black. When the modern Europeans arrived in Kemet, they in the 17th century, like Constantine de Volney said, the ancient Egyptians were true blacks of the same type as all the native Africans. And to think that this race of black men today are our slaves and the object of our contempt is the same race to which we owe our arts, sciences, and even our use of speech. Imagine, finally, that it is among the people who say they are the best friends of freedom and humanity that the most barbarian slavery has been approved, and question if blacks have the same intelligence as whites. So I leave you with this gift from me. This is my DNA test. As you can see, about 150,000 years ago, my first ancestor came out of Africa, and it went traveling all over the lands of this earth. So I say to my ancestors, thank you for giving me this gift as part of humanity. And I am my ancestors. And with that, Ubuntu, I say to you, I am you and you are me. You are me and I am you. As we practice Sankofa, may we all, through Ubuntu, sit as one on the rich table of humanity. Now I want to leave you with this question to question yourselves. What individually and collectively will you do with this information. And with that, I finish my presentation. Thank you so much for your patience. And now we're going to go into the experience.
This experience is born from the beautiful blue happy waterfalls that are located in the west of Gojam, Amhara region in Ethiopia, Africa. They are known as Tisabai, in Amharic, which means big smoke. During the times of floods, the water current is so high that it changes color to almost black. In the local Sudanese language, the word black is also used for blue. I closed my eyes. I released the weight of the body, the face, the shoulders, the hips, the legs, and I feel how the whole body drops and feel lighter. I inhale slowly and deeply. I exhale slowly and release all the air. All my thoughts are released in the air. I inhale slowly and deeply. I exhale slowly. In the air, all the emotions are released. Again, I inhale deeply and slowly. I exhale while all remaining tension leaves my body and I feel like a feather. My feet move slowly, caressing the cool waters as I walk out from the waters of the blue, happy river. That great river that originates in the Ethiopian highlands. My light steps lead me to Tisabai, an ancient waterfall that brings in its warm water memories of our beginnings as humanity. My steps continue speedily and light. Suddenly, I reach the top of a hill. From here, I can observe the canopy, stillness, and greenery of the trees. I also see some palm trees that seem to want to touch the sky, together with its delicate swathing of their palms. I also see other trees, which together with the earth highlight different shades of brown, creating a fusion of colors, as if wanting to remind me of the vital changes. The songs of the birds interrupt my thoughts, while suddenly the silence of the wind brings its soft and brotherly caress to my face, and I take a deep breath. The thunderous sound of Tisabai invites me to look at it. Seeing the majesty of the precipitous fall of its waters, I can observe the order and chaos of creation itself. And as a gift, to the right, it presents me with a beautiful rainbow. The very origin from this place of my ancestors come to my mind, and I close my eyes I hear their whisper, reminding me that to the waters of none I must return. In gratitude, I take a deep breath and exhale. And slowly, I open my eyes.
Thanks a lot, Mali.
You're
Was
welcome.
marvelous.
Thank you, everyone.
I
Thank
like
you.
it a lot. Experience.
Thank you, thank you. It brings
was
us
great.
there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mali. This is wonderful knowledge. Wonderful.
You're
It-
welcome.
Thank you very much, Mali.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your patience.
That's beautiful.
Antonio?
No patience. Yes. I wanted more.
Yeah.
We'll have to go to the channel now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, Antonio, we can have some questions and
Right now, yes. Dice Mali que si hay algunas preguntas que nos queda tiempo y si ella las puede responder.
Sí, correcto. Yes. We have time yet.
If you have questions, please feel free to ask.
Can I be the first one?
absolutely. An honor.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much. I'm Tracy from Kenya. And I didn't know that yoga originated from Africa. I really didn't know. That's something very new to me. And I've learned a lot of things. So I'm really grateful. And my question is, a humanist in Kenya is building a school for humanists. And I would like what you've taught us to be taught to our children. So I was asking if Ragnar, Antonio, they can come up with something, and then when we start the school with the little children, the preschool, we can teach that history. Because to me, it's so nice, and I didn't know, like I was in the dark. So I didn't even know Kemet meant black. I only see people wearing t-shirts called Ubuntu. I didn't even know the meaning, but it's good that I'm learning. So I don't want to live in ignorance, and I don't want our generation to live in ignorance. So I think Ragnar and the rest of the people who are with us in Humanists in Kenya, I think that's a good material to start with. So my humble request is, can we be able to get the materials and to be taught about it?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You don't know how much that means to me, because that was the same thing that I said to myself. I said, oh my goodness. And that's how I came up with the idea of the YouTube channel, because I said that this has to be out there. It has to be out there, especially now that you're saying, you're talking about in Africa. So imagine you're there. Imagine us here in Latin America. So it's like, the Spanish people cannot even, the African Americans or African here, Afro descendants, whatever the name that we want to be called or whatever, we have no connection. Like I said, there's no kinship. Absolutely none. And so absolutely, yes, this is how it started in the United States with the African Americans descendants there. And absolutely, we have curriculums, especially Professor Cava. He has been teaching for more than 40 years at all levels in schooling, especially primary, because he believes and he says that primary is where everything must begin. And it's not that we want to teach our children the wrong information, but we want to teach them the right information. And yes, please, 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 Antonio or whoever, whatever, I will be more than delighted to be able to expand on that idea.
Fantastic. Yeah, for sure we are going to do it. And thank you very much for Tracy to bring up that initiative. And we can also extend it to many other African countries where we are doing similar things. It's fascinating. We are all Africans now.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's like we are one. They have, you know, other belief systems and other thoughts out there have been telling us we are one, we are one, we are one. But the reality is that we are truly one.
We are,
but if we don't go back to that science with that origin so that we can see exactly, oh, okay, now I can relate. It's easier for me to be able to relate as one, seeing where I come from and seeing that we are actually all one. So yes, now we can loud and clearly say it and even bring the acceptance, because we also have to accept that it is a true reality. And it's not Mali saying it, it's science, and the proofs are there saying it.
And it's something to be proud of, because it
Yes.
gives continuity to all the history of our kind, of humanity.
Yes, yes. Exactly.
Beautiful.
Any other questions or input or suggestions?
I think you have left us without any questions. Rather to think of how to really understand this in more depth and to sort of live with a new reality, which takes us much deeper within ourselves and connects us to the whole world as a real one. Thank you for this. And I think we need to take it forward to the 7.5 billion people around us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sudhir, for your input. And as we can see now, they still are trying. There's a group that's still trying to divide us. And this is why we want to bring out the truth, because no matter what, the reality is that we are one. And not to put attention to those that are trying to divide us. And they're going to try, and they're going to keep on trying, because they've been doing this for millennia. And so once we realize the truth and see that you are no different than me, no matter where you are in the globe, you are no different than me, because through our veins, there is something that unites us. And so once we understand that and we become acquainted and knowledgeable about that, our whole perception of how we see the rest of us out there will change, definitely change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ali. We'll not say too many goodbyes, because we'll be in touch very soon and to organize things.
Yes.
And we'll be ongoing.
Yes. Now I started rolling something here.
Perfect.
That's going to be
Excellent.
nonstop.
Yes. And to have access to all the curriculum of that professor who have been teaching for 40 years in the States, that will save so much time, because it will be in English first, and also very well structured, probably.
Yes.
I thank you very, very much, Mali. I have been for many years involved in building the humanist movement in Africa, and with Antonio and Ragnar and more, we have been working with so many African friends, humanist friends. And I remember the first time I went there to build the humanist movement, I was asked, what are you teaching them there? And then I said, well, we are not teaching, we might be teaching that it's possible to organize and things, but I learned much more from them, because I had by that time learned this Ubuntu in Zulu language, which says Ubuntu, Numuntu, Nabantu. I exist because you exist. And this opened a new world for me. Totally, totally.
Yes, thank you, Julius.
So your influence will reach to the top, actual top, to the Icelandic, the little island of Iceland, on the top of the world.
Thank you so much, Julius. Thank you. And yes, there's the knowledge, the wealth of wisdom that is in Africa. If we can only recognize this and take advantage of the fact that we are the ones that need to learn from them, not them from us. Thank you.
Hello, if I can say something. I want to thank you very much, Mali, and I'm happy to see all my friends from Kenya there. And I'm not a man of many words, I'm more a man of action. So let's put this in action there in Kenya. Tracy, Walter, and all of you. But thank you so much. This is so amazing and changed the view of the world. And like someone said, the African people will put a human face on the earth.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is so true.
Steve Biko in the battle. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
And I had seen that film that you were referring to about Kevin Costner is the main actor, and about the people who went to the moon, and the calculations of the direction of the trip was done by 3 black women who were part of the team, calculating all the mathematics by hand. And they kept her in another room. They were not even considered as part of the team. It's a very interesting film.
Yes, that's a great point that you bring out, Antonio, because we have to recognize this was 1968. It's just around the corner. For goodness, 1968. And these 3 women were living in that area where they could not even share a bathroom.
I remember. Yeah,
and
shocking.
They had to walk almost a mile just to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
And these 3 women, with all those obstacles, they were able to put men on the moon.
That's right. Yeah, that is history. It's not imagination. It's real.
Yes.
And hidden, as you say.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else would like to make a comment or a question or? So yeah, let's just bring this knowledge forward, because it's going to do good to us and the entire humanity.
That's right. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you, Mali. Bye. And all the best.
Thanks, Mali,
Bye.
Antonio. Thank very much for
Thanks,
being with
Mali.
us.
Thank you.
Okay, we're waiting for you in the next 24. In August, September, we will have the Zulu culture. Okay?
Great. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank
Perfect.
you. Thank you, Juan. Thank you, everyone. Tino,
Goodbye.
thank you. Thank you so much, Tino.
Muchas gracias.